Welcome to the Positive Pen Podcast, where your stories and soul work matters. Now let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Positive Pen Podcast, where stories, soul work, and your writing matters, or your art, or Substack matters. I have a guest today, which I'm really excited to bring in. She is someone who's new on Substack that has just started out, very small account, but one of the things that she does has a really big voice. And that has to do with animals and dogs and people like that. And one of the things that struck me, it wasn't just about adoption. It wasn't about that. It was about grief and how you overcome them and so forth. So help me and welcome Sandra Lynne. How you doing?
Hello. Hi, John.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm well. So I just did a little bit of an intro. I'm excited about about what your venture is and stuff like that. And let's start off with why Substack? Why did you come on Substack? Because I see you're a really early subscriber to Substack. And what brought you on Substack first?
Gosh, well, Substack was a procrastination of 1 year in the making. I was originally playing around with Medium, but not for writing with grief, just exploring the whole blog posting side of things. And when I got into grief work and writing about it, I thought, okay, well, I'd try on my own website, like have your website, drive traffic. That didn't really work so well because the internet is large. And I just found that Facebook was the other medium that I was writing, but long form doesn't really work on Facebook. So I've been hearing Substack, and eventually I thought, well, let's try Substack.
And what's your experience so far in Substack? What do you think?
Oh, I love it. It feels like home. I'm not such a social media person. So when I came onto Substack, it was like heaven because there's long form format. There's just everybody from every creative corner that you can just tap into. And I found that when I joined Substack, I was actually more inspired to write and to be here. So I'm very new. I've only been on Substack since, it's 4 months now, not even. So I joined like beginning of the year and I've just loved it. I've met incredible people who write about incredible things. And yeah, like I said, it's just been so inspiring.
So when you're writing now, what are you? Let's talk about now. So that's a great intro about who you are, what you're coming from. So let's talk about your tales of tribute. What got you into, like, first let's talk what is that, and then we'll go more into the details.
Well, so Tales of Tribute was actually founded when my sister lost her soul dog. Well, so it's like my little niece, and it was my sister's first dog. And what got me into creating a space like Tales of Tribute was my sister needed somewhere to channel her grief. And I know from past experience, I've always just, whenever I've lost something or been going through a hard time, I've always just written. And I knew that this was the way to help her. So I kind of gave her a purpose. And yeah, that's how Tales of Tribute was really born. But then I started expanding it and I thought, okay, so other people could benefit from writing stories about their pets, and not just tributes, but tales, stories about things that they don't want to forget or they want to share. Stories, like fun stories. One of my tales is about my dogs that destroyed the Christmas tree one year. But yeah, that was a funny tale, but it wasn't in the moment. So that's where Tales of Tribute came from, the actual initial idea. And then it's kind of expanded more to cover in grief awareness and just articles about grief and my own personal journey in writing poetry and grief poetry, which I never dreamed I would be doing, but yes. So it's kind of
So,
all.
as a do you have a community that's actually behind you now? I mean, you said you were on Facebook. I'm sure you're on Facebook still, and a couple other places. Like, where do you get these stories and then you rewrite them, or how does that, or how do they get collective in your world, and how do you repost them?
Okay, so what started off like the Tales of Tribute people, I have a web page where you can either write your own
Oh,
tribute to your pet that I would post in the tribute gallery, or you can go on the guided questionnaire, and then I would take what you input and then rewrite it into a tribute for your pet for you.
mhm.
Um, and then it would then be shared on social media. So that's the tribute side of things. On Substack, I'm still figuring out my voice here. So,
So you
yeah,
so you take you to actually take actual entries, you not rewrite it, but you formulate it, and then you post it, and it's almost like, I'm not going to say this like an obituary, but it's almost like a
yeah,
what is
a
it?
eulogy.
Yeah, like a eulogy. So it's but for pets, and you do it for everybody else like that. That's pretty cool. That's
Yeah, so
yeah. And then, and how does that, like, so there's a lot of soul work when someone actually writes down their feelings and things like that, and then you take on that piece. Like, what's the feedback from these writers and who, or these people who are grieving? What's the feedback on that when they're actually able to submit their situation?
well, so a lot of my feedback is that they are so grateful for what I've done, and they see it as a place that they can return to and have a piece of their pet. It's almost like a gravestone marker in a sense.
Mm,
It's something when they are feeling their loss or they're feeling disconnected, they can just go back and read over it and read the memorial, and it reconnects them.
that's cool. That's really, really cool. That's yeah, I never heard it. I never came across something like that. But yeah, it definitely is something that's pretty cool. So, how long have you been doing this?
This is my second year, so
Oh,
it's
your
still
second
quite
year.
new.
Oh, okay. Wow. And how do you, so now you're on Substack. What's the plan on Substack? Have you thought about what you're planning on? Like, are you planning regurgitating these stories, or how are you planning on moving forward with your tales of tribute?
So, sure. So on Substack, I've been focusing more on publishing more of what I've been writing, so more of my poetry work.
Mhm.
Um, and initially, my thoughts was because like when you read about Substacks, they're like, oh, this can be like a newsletter. You can send it out to all these people and inform them. And so I was like, okay, so maybe I can treat my Substack as a place where grieving pet guardians can land and find information, for example, and support. So that was my initial thoughts with Substack. But Substack has like endless possibilities. So I'm trying to figure out a way how to put in the tributes in there too. So maybe I might just feature tributes once a month.
That's what, well, so a lot of people treat, I've come across a lot of Substackers, and they treat it differently. Some treat it like a newsletter that they just send out to their subscribers, and it goes out to their mail and stuff like that. And it's like usually once a week or something like that. And some people use it to write poems, and people follow each other with poems. some of and you gotta remember when I started with all this most of this did not exist. The like the foundation was set up where it was mostly like you either wrote an article, you wrote a newsletter, and then it just got sent to and then you hunt down your subscribers and bring them in and things like that. Now it's a lot more easier in the sense you can promote yourself on Substack and things like that, where you can attract more people towards your writing. But it's just a variation, and some are just pure podcasters. They actually are on here just doing podcast. I kind of do it a little bit of differently. Well, there's a couple things I'm doing, but the first thing when I first originally started, I started with 100 stories, 100 inspirational stories for 100 days, and I published 100 stories in 100 days. And that was in tribute to people I found on the internet, and I just wrote about them and then I just posted it, and it worked for a while. It was great, but it was like a lot of work. So then,
I can imagine.
Then I turned around and I started doing every 5 days, or then I thought, well, I'll just treat it as a journal and I'll write my travels. So I was traveling all around a lot. And then one day I started writing about rediscovering Vancouver, and I started posting all my short stories about my days of Vancouver. That's where I'm from. So Vancouver, Canada. So I was like, I'd go to, like, when I go back home, I always go back to these places that are familiar to me, and I really have cherished moments there. So I kind of like go back, and I was writing about them, and then I would post them, and people really loved it. And I was like, wait a minute, there's something reacting towards this. So I thought, well, maybe I can use this as a writing launch to write books, where I can write the rough draft and then create the book and then sell it later down the road, and I can get intake. And I was getting like feedbacks on the story, what they liked about, what they didn't like about it. It was a lot of that kind of stuff, which was kind of cool. And then it went from there. And then I did that book, and I think I did Remy's Journey, and then I went into Substack again, and I started doing 5 days entry. Then last year was enough of it. It was way too much, because I'd lost I was like in the in between where you kind of get lost sometimes, and you kind of just don't feel like you're like really contributing. And that was the stories that weren't really like, they were good stories and inspirational about people and people off of Substack. But the problem was there wasn't this after talk after the story was posted. And so I was thinking, how do I do that? And one of the things was what I'm doing right now is, like, I post a story on Friday, and then we'll have an interview on Monday night, and then we'll have at least that wraps that around. And then in between, I post my stories about what I'm writing about my books, or the newsletters things. And then typically Mondays are just my inspirational days, like what I'm thinking. And it might be for writers, it might be for Substack, it might be just me just thinking what I want, my thoughts, philosophy, or I see something or whatever. So I know that's a lot, but I mean, I went through different variations on Substack. So I don't think you're really pigeonholed very tight. Like, you're not. And I think that's what's great about this community, because they don't really hold you like, okay, your tales of tribute, that's awesome. And if you decide not to do specifically that, I don't think they're going to be upset with you. And that's how I found my subscribers. They've been loyal to me. Some have been loyal since the beginning that I know of. But that's Substack in a nutshell for me. But I think there's a lot of people who do different things different ways, and nothing's right, nothing's wrong. That's what's cool about Substack. It's about you exploring and trying to understand your writing. And I think for me, it was more of crafting my writing over a period of time. So I don't know if that's helpful for you, but that's my journey. So.
Yeah, I kind of get the feel like there's Substack's like a judge-free environment.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like Instagram, you have to jump around and do these stupid things to get trending. It's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
Facebook is like, I don't know, a little bit of a mix of it. TikTok's kind of coming on board, but
Yeah.
nothing's really long form format. And Medium, I don't know where Medium stands these days. But Substack is like a mix of everything. You have a little bit of social happening, you have a bit of writing and discovering yourself and discovering other people and learning about people's different adventures and inspiration, like I said. So as a whole, I've really enjoyed so far my 4 months on Substack. It's been such a learning curve. And for you, who's been on Substack for quite some time now, you've seen all the changes over the different, well, each year, how things have grown and changed. And yeah, would you say now is a lot more exciting than in the beginning of Substack?
I think I would say yes, but also miss the. See, earlier on, it was easy to hide on Substack because when you because when you write and you don't want anybody to read it, it was kind of cool because you're just on there and you don't have to worry about what you wrote about because no one was seeing you, right? Now people see
Yeah.
it, so now you got to be a little bit more. I wouldn't say professional, but a little bit more conscious of what you're writing, so you're not. But in my writing, I've always thought to myself was that I'm leaving a legacy to my children. So if they ever came back and wanted to touch base with dad and how he was thinking and what he wrote about, blah, 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 they can always go on my Substack and feel free to read whatever they want. And as long as it's, so my goal has always been not censored is the word, but I wanted to be like the Little House on Prairies type stories. You're going to get some raw, honest truth. And it might be gut wrenching. You may not like what you're going to read, but it's the truth. It's my truth, but you're going to sit there and you're going to listen and you read and you're like, okay, well, wow. Okay. I got a reflection on that. And if my kids read some of it, they're going to get some of the, this is what dad was thinking at the time when this was happening. So yeah.
I
And that's
love
what,
that.
yeah, thank you. And that's what I think about these tales of tribute. That's like cool when people come reflect back and just have that moment of like, this is what I wrote back then. Either do I still feel that way? I don't feel that way. It's just one of those things. Now, have you touched base with with that? Now you live in France, so we want to make this. So I got to make sure because I have an audience here in the United States, so I want to make sure that everybody knows you live in France, and we're 6 hour difference here, which is cool. Like I said, we talked about this. Like this is cool about technology, but do they have like adoption? Like when they have here in the United States, they have like dog pens or places where they have adoptions and things like that. How do you connect with those local things? And I don't remember what they're called in France. They're usually dog kennels or dog. We call them SPCA here, but yeah, I don't know if that's something similar there or not.
Yeah, so here in France, they also do have animal rescues. So it's also called it's not SPCA, it's SPA.
Okay.
So it's like spa. So not the spa where you go and get beauty treatments, but the spa for the dogs
Or
and
Spock.
cats.
Or Spock. The sidetrack. Never mind. So
Yes, so we do have those here. We also have private animal rescues. We have we still have pet stores with pets inside.
oh wow.
And yeah, I don't know if you still have that in the United States. I know a lot of countries have banned having pets for sale in pet stores.
No, we have like pets. From what I understand, or the last time I've been in this store, Remy we don't really go. We go to a local grocery store here, but I remember PetSmart has them. I don't think they're banned in stores. They're still there. Um, I, his mom does a lot of his care, so so I don't go to these stores anymore. Like I train the dog. We go out for walks, and we
Yeah.
typically, I do the physical part of the job, but she goes out and
Would
takes care of the grooming and all that. But yeah, I think there's still dogs, and I gotta check on that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but
well,
wow,
well,
and it's
here in
banned.
France,
It's banned in France or in Europe in general. Wow. Hmm.
well, the Netherlands do have pets in their stores. They can have quite a big selection, but here in France, we don't have dogs and cats in the stores. We have rats, guinea pigs, rabbits, some reptiles, but that's about it. Not like, I come from South Africa originally, and our pet stores were fantastic. We had everything in them.
Yeah.
That's where you would go and find a pet. But here in Europe, things have changed, and it's all about animal welfare. So it's a good thing, because for me, I think having little puppies in a tiny enclosure in a pet store is actually not the greatest thing for them.
So do you think it was why do you think they changed that? I mean, I'm just why they went away from having pets at pet stores.
I think they see it more as an animal cruelty thing. Just the environment, constantly the overwhelm, having so many people coming in throughout the day, seeing them, touching them, looking at them, perhaps.
Hmm.
Honestly, I don't know. I
Hmm.
don't know 100% why they led away from it.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
if I were to see it from an animal's point of view, yeah. I mean, you have all these strangers and noise and busy, like
Yeah.
busy around you all day. It can be very overwhelming.
Yeah, I guess the days of where you have the simple pet store, corner store, or like some type of thing where the dogs, they had a kettle of pups or cats or whatever, and they had a litter there, and they were selling for $2, or I don't know what the cost is, but like whatever. I guess that kind of, I guess or because the care is different, I guess, is one, and number two, you're behind a plexiglass or a glass, whatever that looks like, and then you're stuck in a, yeah, it sucks. But in the kettles, when we go look for, like, our neighbor was looking for a dog because she lost her dog. Um, I would say a couple, almost a month ago, and and sh and her dog, it was Lizzie, and she was she was a cute little dog and like a little poodle, but she was raised at a breeder, but the breeder treated them pretty poorly. I mean, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
And so the rescue picked them up, took them, and the thing that she had was a shoulder was like not functioning correctly. So it was kind of like almost like a chicken arm. And it was like sitting there like really
Aw.
tight. But she was a spirit little dog, and she would jump up and down. She was like running around. I mean, she could only do so much, but she had the gut, like she would run up to Remy, and Remy and her would kind of like get into it a little bit, and Remy always scooted down and just kind of like hover, because he realized she was limited in her capabilities, which is strange, because you think about it, a dog doesn't think that way, but the dog did. Remy did. Like, it was like, ooh, like, I don't want to. And then it was cute. It was like, it was almost, he knew. It was just like, and then she took upon it, and she's kind of like what, and every time now we go out, he's always looking over there or trying to figure out where she's at, and obviously
Oh.
she's gone. And he did that for a while, and then his mother, Izzy's mother, boy, it was hard for her, and she was like devastated. Izzy died on the bed, and she was like sitting there, kind of like, it was like there was a week worth of vet, uh, always going to the vets, or there was some vet things going on, and she was going back and forth, and she wasn't doing well. And one of the things that she thinks would happen was they salted the ground, and she ate, or in her paws, she picked up one of the salts, which is very toxic for dogs. And she was licking her paws and probably got it in her stomach. And typically she's a very good mom. She'll scrape she would wipe them down. But the way they salted the sidewalks this year was really, really bad. So she's thinking that could have happened. But then she passed away, and for like, I'd say 3 or 4 weeks, she was like, the mother was, Izzy's mother was really just was upset, lonely,
Distraught. I think she.
Yeah.
I mean, was Lizzie the only one? Was it just her and Lizzie?
It was just her and Lizzie. Yeah, she's an older lady, I think in her 70s, something like that.
Oh.
And one of the cool things about pets, especially dogs or cats, it gives a little bit more of a longevity of a person, because you're petting, you have companion and all that. And it was sad to see, because she really missed it. And one day I took Remy over there, and I said, well, you can babysit Remy for the afternoon. Well, Remy wanted nothing to do with it. He wanted to come back home. So she brought him back home. And then this week, she got a new dog. She finally went out and got herself a new dog. And I just saw her today, and I had to go somewhere else. But I said, oh, a cute dog. And she was really happy. You can see she was happy, and it was a rescue dog. That was really important to her, was to make sure she was a rescue dog. And it looked, she's training them. It was kind of, or trade. I think it was a her. She always get girls for some reason, but yeah. So there you go. Yeah, and I think that's the big part about dogs. Like, do you still have a dog? Does your sister still have a dog, or how does that still?
So my sister has Sarah. So Sarah is her other dog that was left over after Chloe passed.
Okay.
So Sarah is getting on in age, unfortunately. And I don't have a dog currently. My last dog, his name was Sam. He passed, I think it's 2 years ago, of old age, at the good old age of 15 and a half years.
Wow.
So, pointer, which is fantastic for a pointer. So yeah. So I currently don't have a dog, but I have quite a few exotics. I have an eagle.
You have wait. You have an eagle, like an actual eagle, like eagle, like
yes,
American
like an
eagle.
actual eagle, not an American bald eagle. I don't have one of those, but I have flown one of those. So yes.
What do you mean flown? Wait a minute. What do you mean flown one of those? That you're throwing some words out there that doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean flown? Like, like you jumped on the wings
so
to flow around, or
maybe this is the part of my tales that I should be telling in my Tales of Tribute Tales section.
Okay.
So I'm also a falconer. That's what I was. Well, I do professionally as well. Is I'm a falconer. So I fly birds of prey, and I hunt with birds of prey, and I have an eagle that I hunt with, and I also have a hawk.
A hawk?
So
wow.
Yeah, I have an eagle and a hawk, and my husband has 2 eagles. So we have 3 eagles at home, 1 hawk, and 4 falcons.
So when you say you've flown them, means you basically let them go out in the wild and then come back with something, or is that?
So okay, so here in France, we professionally we make shows with birds of prey. So it's like live shows with birds of prey. And we also hunt professionally. Well, we hunt with birds of prey. So literally we would go out, like you would take your gun and go hunting, we would take our eagle and go hunting. Only the gun is a little bit more practical because you can just put it in the cupboard and that's it, done and dusted. You know, you might have to clean it a little bit, but yeah, the eagle's a little bit more hard work.
You gotta, so what are you hunting with these preys?
Okay, so our eagles hunt hare.
Okay.
And my hawk, he doesn't hunt. Only if he's sitting on his perch outside in the garden does he hunt garden birds. But
Okay.
he's actually a show bird. So he's one of my show birds. Well, he's the first bird I ever trained by myself. So he's my show bird. And then our falcons hunt, the one hunts crows, the one hunts pigeons, the other one hunts pheasant.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now, is this for your, like when they hunt, is it for you or is it you, or how like you obviously eat them, or is it for them?
Well, we share. So, like, it's like a little bit of a sharing situation.
Are you sure you're not a Viking? I just want to know. You're not a Viking, are you? Like from Scandinavia or something like that? You're not.
Well, I have the blonde hair, but no, I'm no. Well, it's a tradition here in Europe. I mean, medieval times.
Is it really a tradition?
Yeah, medieval times. Falconry was very well known as like the sport of the kings.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know it was popular. I just didn't know about that. Now here in the United States, it's all about pigeons. Pigeons is popular here. They fly pigeons, and it's a race or some type of, like, I don't know if it's a race or some type of game. They have a game, and sometimes whoever, and there's money involved. Like it's a big
money. In pigeon racing, there's huge money involved.
Yeah.
And in Dubai, they race falcons actually.
Really?
So they buy a lot of falcons that are bred here in Europe, and then they race them to see which falcon's the fastest.
So now that's fascinating. How do you train a bird? I mean, that, like, a bird to actually come back to you, I don't see how that's possible.
It's the same as training any animal to do something you want it to do. I mean, people train horses, people train guinea pigs, people train animals. So,
I'm a bird. I'm gonna fly off.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
It's a procedure.
Okay.
So I mean, you're not going to do it in one day. It's like a gradual process. So It's like, first of all, you teach them to jump onto your glove, like from let me put this, like a little distance, so they'll be attached to a line so they can't fly away. And then you just teach them that if they want to eat, they have to come to your glove to eat their food. So you start really, really short, and then they jump, they get their food, they get a nice big full crop, so they're happy. They know, okay, food comes from here, and it's just, you go further and further and further away. And then as your distance grows, you learn to read your animal, and you can see, like, they're not quite ready to get released, or they're really progressing well, they're coming without thinking. And then eventually you unattach them, you take the line off, and you fingers crossed that your training's well, and they come back. And it's just, for training animals, it's routine.
So how long does that training take?
It depends on the bird. Some birds go quicker than others. It completely depends on the bird, depends on the species. Every species is different, and every individual in the species is different.
I can see that, because so Colt and Remy, they're brothers, and I had them both here, and Colt is not trained per se. So I took it upon myself to train him. And he is the most stubborn dog that I've ever met in my entire life. Like,
Yeah.
I say, Colt, come, and he won't come. He'll just sit
He's like,
there and just like, yeah,
really?
whatever, yeah,
Come? You
whatever.
want me to come? You come.
Exactly. Or he'll move only like 3 or 4 steps and then sits and expects you to come the rest of the way. So, you do the same thing like as you talked about. It's the same process. You put him on a
Yeah.
leash and you say, okay, come, or Colt, come. And then if he doesn't come, you yank on you kind of yank on the not like pull it, but just kind of yank it. So you kind
Yeah,
of get
yeah. No, I know. You like encourage him to come.
yeah. And then he'll come. And then if he mistakes, you say no. And then you kind of go repeat the whole process. And I spent, I think it was one night for like 2 hours. Didn't get it at all. Like, just didn't get it. And Remy is like sitting there without a chain, without a leash. She's like, can I just come?
But that's it. I mean, some of them pick it up so quickly, and some of them, it takes forever. It takes patience. You have to have the patience of a saint. Some of them,
Right.
and
mom,
it just
mom has Colt, and mom is not really good in training or keeping the training going. And she's 95.
so it's mom's fault.
Well, she's 90 years old, so she kind of just treats him like a child almost. But she gets mad at him. And every day, like, she was sitting on the couch and she's like, Colt, come here, or Colt, up, or like, come here, Colt, and he will never come up. And it's like, Colt, get here now. Like, she would like, get here now, like not yelling, but just like, get here. And then I was like, Mom, you got to say Colt up, because he needs, he understands a little bit, the single verbs. And she's like, Colty, come up. And like, I was like, no, you got to say like Colt, come, or Colty, come, or something like that, or Colty up, Colty, whatever it is. And the minute goes by, I go walk away, I come back, and then she's still struggling with him. And then I go close to the couch and say, Colt, come, or Colt, up, and then up. And I keep repeating it, and it's getting firmer. And he jumps up and he sits and she goes, well, why you can do it and why he only listens to you? And I'm like, no, he listens to you too. You just gotta learn the language, how to say words, because I guess same thing with birds. They get confused with the words, right? Or do you say words to trigger, or is it just more of an action?
It's more of a so whistle. We use a whistle for calling.
Okay.
So it's more of a whistle, and that they don't understand words. It's just like, so it's the movement, it's the glove, it's the movement, it's the cues.
Oh, okay. So so it's hand signals basically you're giving him, and you're based on your position of your hands, he knows what to do, right? Is that?
Yeah, pretty much. So my Harris hawk, the one that I said that hunts from his perch, he, like I said, he was originally trained as a showbird. And so what we do now, because we don't do shows anymore, is we walk through the forest, for example. So it's like, you walk your dog, I walk my hawk, and he will follow me from tree to tree to tree. And he knows that if my hand is down, he's not allowed to come. So he has to go to the next tree, to the next tree, to the next tree. And as soon as I put my hand up, he knows it's ready for him to come. So then he'll come back down and get his food. And then once he's eaten, he'll go back off again.
Is so cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
That is.
I love it. I love walking with them. We have so much fun together.
So can you walk with other animals with them, or are they just basically very territorial with owners?
In the sense of a dog, or what do you mean other animals?
Well, like, can a dog walk with you? Or, I mean, I'm sure a horse can be part of that.
Yeah, a horse can be part of that if you train them to walk with a horse.
Okay.
So Zazu's my hawk. When we were doing show work, he would actually fly in the arena. There would be a horse going around in the arena, so he would fly over the horse. So he knows to fly when there's a horse around. But he hasn't had any walks with dogs. So if there was a dog while we were walking, he probably would be afraid and wouldn't listen as well as normal. He'd probably just stay up there instead of coming down. I would have to train him to accept a dog.
Okay, gotcha. That's interesting.
So
that's an interesting.
yeah,
That's
in traditional hunting with falcons, for example, it's very common for a hunter to have the bird up in the sky above them. The falcon will fly up above. So you have high fly, which is a falcon, and you have low fly, which is the eagle. So in high fly, the falcon's above you, and you would have a dog who would then sniff and flush the game. So it will usually flush the birds, the pheasant or the partridge, for example. And then the falcon would swoop down and attack whatever the dogs flush. So they work in a pair. So, but they trained to work with dogs.
Wow, that's neat. So, are they used in England as well? Is England popular? Like, is it primarily France, or is it all?
Oh no, it's throughout most of the European countries. So Italy, France, Germany, England has a very big hunting. What do you want to culture, if you want to say it like that? Yeah, it's very big in Europe. It's like I said, it dates back to the medieval ages. What do you call it? Middle Ages. There we go. Sorry, my words are getting tongue-tied. Yeah, Middle Ages.
Yeah. So your poet that originally started to really hit home was the mind is knows, the body knows pose, right? Where did that come from?
Honestly, I don't know.
Oh.
So honestly, it was just a phrase that one day during a meditation session was just the words just came in my head, and I was like, yeah, what's going on here? Let's explore this a little bit more. And so this is often what happens. Like a line will come to me, and then I'll just sit with it. And it was just the noise, the words. Like when you lose someone, you are replaying your thoughts so much about like what I should have done. Why didn't I do it like this? If I had done this. So you're not, your mind just like never stops, but your body is quiet and is there in the present. That's one part of it. The other part of it is like sometimes your body is the one that reacts first, and then your mind is the one that goes crazy afterwards. But your body is always the one that's settled. It's always the one that grounds you.
Yeah. I was just thinking back to my dog, Lucky, when she passed away. And she passed away in front of her favorite fireplace, and that was on. And she was laid there. She had cancer. Died quickly, so thank God.
Yeah.
And I remember just picking up this dead weight of a body, because you had to take it to the this is Vancouver, so we had to take it to the SPCA, which that's where they cremate the dogs. And that was tough. That wasn't easy, picking her up, putting her back, because you think about all the things that happened with her, and I still remember those. And it was hard to say goodbye. Yeah. And how your body, right now, even my body's reacting to it, even though I was like 18 years old when she passed. I mean, it was 18, 19 years old. So I've had her for a while. She was like 13 years old. And she was a German Shepherd. So German Shepherds they don't have like a long life in the sense of dogs. But yeah, so taking her to taking her to that was not fun, but that was also the hardest part of that process. So yeah, I can understand, because I remember just even thinking about, just going back to that moment, the nothing mattered other than her at that time, if that made sense. So
Yeah.
even though there's distractions and things like that happening, it didn't matter. I had a mission, more or less, take her to the SPCA, take care of her, making sure she was properly handled. Um, but that was, but when you say about the noise, the mind, my focus was on her. So I wasn't worried about the other things in life at the time. So, and then, yeah, I could see how that works. Yeah. Yeah.
And now, when you think back to that moment, what do you feel in your body?
Oh, it's not heavy. It's more of, how you call it. It's not heavy. It's not heavy. It's peace. It's gratefulness is the other one. Because I had moments with her. I mean, you can't take those things away. And the other thing is, I noticed you can't replace one dog with another dog. Each dog has its own purpose. Each dog is different, very different. Right?
Absolutely.
They're
Like I called her Remy. Absolutely.
Well, I had dogs before Remy, and but it also is that, you know, Lucky was a family dog in the end. First she was my dog. She was my dog. No one else. Because the other thing is, when people say, can you train my dog? And I say, no, I can't train your dog. And they're like, what do you mean you can't train my dog? No, I have to train you. You need to be trained how to train a dog, because you are going to be responsible for that dog. And I remember my dad telling me that. Like, I didn't understand that. And he said, no, you got to go get classes, go figure it out, and make sure you understand. And once a week, I paid that $25, even though at 10 years old, I was, delivering newspapers for this, because I had to take care of the dog. I had to go down to the pet store, which didn't have any pets, by the way. It was just a small little corner store where I had all these food, and I made sure she got the best food, which was costly. And but yeah, the one thing I learned about dogs is that the owners have to be trained to understand how to take care of the dogs. And just because you have a dog doesn't mean you should let them be what they want to be. Because from one of the things that I've learned, and this is from years of experience, is dogs need a purpose. Just like
Yeah.
I think most animals need purpose. They need to understand where they're at.
They
And
need boundaries.
yeah, they need definitely boundaries. Yeah. Yeah. So it's cool. It's one of those things that, and dogs do definitely. And Remy, Lucky was a guard dog per se. So when I trained her, she was one of those dogs. You ever seen one of those dogs where they actually sat there and they watch and they don't say a word, and they're like very calm, like, but as soon as you pass a certain threshold, they're at you right away. Rah! Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like those dogs that only give one bark a warning. And
Yeah.
then just a little woof, there's trouble coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time, yeah. So how I feel, it's joyful, I think, to have her. There's other dogs I've had which were not my dogs. They were my ex. And it was kind of thrown upon me, I guess. I don't know. And I wasn't ready for dogs at the time. But I was put in that situation. So I was, obviously taking the responsible, try to train them, do all that. But they were very, like, some dogs are so, there's some dogs are just way too far beyond training because of the anxiety. They just have too much because of their past history, because of trauma. And that's just what I believe. And I could be wrong. And to train, I had one dog who would just chew the living stuff. And she was like, I think 8 years old, 9 years old, and still didn't get that little puppy mentality up. But the problem was it was getting beaten up all the time. And we just had a house, and it didn't have a yard to go play. It didn't have, like, if it had a yard that goes, like, it needed to be on a farm. That's where it needed to be.
Yeah, I needed to let its energy out.
Yeah. So, but we were in the city. I don't know why the ex picked her up. She picked him up because she thought it was cute, but didn't think about that we lived in a city. We're limited, and that's where I realized, you really need to understand when you pick a dog. You really need to understand your environment, because each dog has a purpose in each environment. So a smaller dog in a city is much more suitable than a large husky, which takes, I think, more. I mean, that's where, I don't know. That's how I think. I mean,
No,
I
I
mean,
agree.
yeah. So Remy's cute. I mean, we had both dogs here in our house, which is not a big house, but it's a small house. But they lived very easy. We went to the park multiple times every day. So they got their exercise. It was really cool. Um, yeah, that was. And Remy, now when I train Remy and Colt, I actually, so one of the things people around here, this is how crazy this is. So Remy and I would go for walks, and Remy would know how to walk with me along the way. And people are like, "Oh my God, he's so polite. He's so like, he just like doesn't care, because he's trained that way, not to care what's going on. He's supposed to focus." And then, so Colt was,
Colt.
so
He's like the naughty little brother, Colt.
Colt was, at first he didn't understand heel, he didn't understand a few trigger words, but eventually he did that. But the cool thing is I walked both of them on the same path, and they're walking on my right side, like in tangent. They're walking along the way. And the cool part is that people are like, "You're walking two dogs at same," and then we get to a stop sign or get to an area, they both sit,
No.
they listen, they move, and people are just like, "Wow." And I'm like, that's not that hard.
No, it's just it just takes time, patience, and commitment, and consistency. That's
Yes.
the other thing. Consistency.
So most of these people that have dogs that actually, uh, excuse me, who their pet passed away, do they typically get another dog right away, or is it some period of time you think that they get a dog back or they don't get a dog back?
It's up to the individual. Everybody's different. Some people don't ever want to have a dog again.
Mhm.
And some people have a need, a desire to have another dog straight away. Everybody's different, and there is no right or wrong answer. It's what resonates the best with you. What do you feel is best for you? So there is no answer to that. It's an internal one. You have to answer it yourself if you're ready for it or not. And generally, if you are ready for another pet or not.
Mm. Do you give advice to people when they're submitting their stories, or they ask for advice or something like that? How does that? What's the relationship with you and your entries or supporters?
So like on the entry side, not really, but some people will message me out privately and chat to me, especially through, I support a lot of people through Facebook groups. So they'll message me privately, and I also do one-to-one sessions. So if they contact me one-to-one, we'll have private sessions about it. Or like I say, I offer my my advice through private message, through some of the groups where I do counsel for free. And it just depends. But when people are ready, I have found, for submitting their tribute, they have gotten past that initial raw grieving period. They are over that raw disbelief, numb, I can't believe this happened to me period, and they are more on the path of healing.
But isn't life I mean, and I might be kind of like I knew Lucky at one day would die. I mean, I know I'll die, right? I know my mom will die, my dad would die. Like, when you say they couldn't believe that happened, I don't understand that. Is that just because it was unexpected, or was it just they didn't want them to, like, is it a yearning and not wanting to leave, I guess?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's such a mixed answer. I mean, to answer that is going to take us all night, because everybody thinks but everybody thinks differently. So for some people, they lose their pets really, really young. You know, like it's an accident, or they're diagnosed with a terminal illness or cancer at a really young age. So generally, when you get a pet, you don't expect that they're going to be dying soon. You expect that they're going to live for a certain period of time. And then all of a sudden, when they die a couple of years later or halfway through their life, that's quite a traumatic shock that you go through.
Gotcha.
Okay. Like, I lost my guinea pig almost 1 month ago.
Wow.
And he was my first guinea pig ever. I've never owned a guinea pig until him. And yeah, he wasn't even a year old, and I was like expecting to have him for 6 years. So it's like, yeah, I was really upset about losing my little guinea pig. And so that's an example where, you know, I know life is not guaranteed. Death is the only thing that we are guaranteed in life. But it hurts when it's early. So that's a big shock. And some people just, even though they know it's time, they're just not ready to let go.
So that's the hardest part, is letting go. I think it's not just letting go of a loved one, but also letting go of stuff that no longer belongs to you.
Well, that's it. It's letting go of who you are in that moment. Because when your pet dies, you're no longer a dog mom or a cat mom, or, you know, Bruno's mom, for example. Your identity completely changes. So your life in that moment completely changes. And it's like any loss. It's not just the loss of a pet or a loss of a loved one. It can be a loss of a job, a loss of a relationship. It's that change that you're not ready for. As humans, we don't like change so much.
You know, change has been in my what do you call it? It's been a key word last week. I've been noticing it more and more, as change.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're in this in between. I wrote about it today, about the in between, and and you can, you know, change could be a good thing. I think it is a good thing for most things. I mean, obviously, someone passing or something you love to pass, that's not a change that you want, but it's part of the process. But also, change is a good thing in general, because it can open other opportunities that you may not really be able to, like, since they were closed because you got stuck in this situation. I wouldn't say stuck with your pet. I don't want to say that, but you're in this situation that didn't allow you to see beyond that. And I think that's where change is good. And I think, but you got to let go. I mean, there's obviously a balance of letting go and accepting the new versus just holding on what you had that is no longer serving you, which is probably the hardest thing to ever understand and process. And I guess that's where I guess that's where the question was earlier. And I was trying to say, I don't understand how, this is new, or this is how people took time to finally get to the point to write a tribute. But I could see that getting stuck there and not be there for be there for a very long time. And a lot of people are there for a long time, for a lot of reasons, but someone passing could be there too, and they get stuck there. So this Facebook group, explain that. How they support? How do you support them? How do you work with them? Do they just message? Is it just an open platform, or I guess it's private? But how do people get there if they have pets and they want to, or they have issues of grieving? How do they contact you? How do they do all that?
Well, most of the pet loss groups and the ones that I recommend. So I have my own private, very small private pet loss group. But also, like I said, supporting other pet loss groups. They are the private ones. I don't recommend joining a public pet loss group, because that's open up for the world to see. And sometimes you don't really want the world to see what you're writing in your most private moments. So, it's just really, the pet loss support groups are great, because it's a community where everybody who is feeling the same thing that you're going through, who's maybe in different stages of their grief. Some people are like right in the beginning, some are in the middle, and some are towards the accepting and continuing with life like moment. So they're great to just bring you together and know that you're not alone, and support you, and know that they're there to help you through it. So it's just really a great supportive community that we all belong to, just helping out one another.
That's cool. And how many people you have in that group? Is it still a small group? And how long is...
So my group is still very small. I only started, it was another 2026 venture, so I think my group only has about 30 odd people in it. But last year I was very active in, so the UK has a Blue Cross pet support group. So I was like very active in that, the UK pet loss group. So a lot of because I'm English, France is a bit difficult. My French is not up to my English standard. I have to like go across the pond and like visit the UK groups. But there are quite a few American pet loss support groups too.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'm sure there is. I mean, Facebook's great for that. Like that's how they...
that's Facebook one thing about is Facebook. Nice for that.
Where you can create little group, like chat groups where you can do that. That's the one thing I was trying to figure out, how to create a chat group in Substack, but they don't have that. It's very isolated. And I think, I don't want this to become I don't want Substack to become Facebook, and I don't want Facebook to be Substack, but
no.
Some features I do like, there's some features I don't. I mean, that's one of the features I like about Facebook, is where you can actually categorize things, and people can actually go in those groups and actually feel, they have a home, they can talk and things like that. So from
it's still very, but this is why I made that point of like saying, make sure you're in a private group. But even in a private group, it's not the same as speaking personally with somebody, with like speaking with a professional in the industry, because what you put on, just be cautious, what you put on the internet is never private. I mean, people can screenshot, they can share and stuff. So yeah, just be careful what you put out there, is what I always say to people, unless you really want to have private, confidential conversations.
Well, I write things that I want to write, and I post things that I want to post on, and I make sure that I don't post anything that is gonna be harmful to anybody. That's not the goal here. And I think that's what most people on Substack is about, is, so as a newbie on Substack, what are the things you've learned other than the community and things like that? What's the one thing you would pass on to somebody who's new in Substack, that's just joining, just getting going? What would you say to them?
Oh, wow. Have fun. Because there's so many different corners in Substack. There's so many wonderful people. Interact with the people that comment on your posts, because you don't know how your friendships are going to develop from there. And yeah, just don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's like you think you have to have these polished posts, but that's not even true. You don't have to have anything completely polished. I think as humans, we perfectly imperfect. And just enjoy it. Substack is it. I don't know how to sum it up. It just feels like such a welcoming corner of the internet. So,
That's cool.
I've met some fantastic people in my community, and we do have one complaint though, that there's no animal group. we like all have the same complaint, and I wish Substack would create an animal group, because we're all going crazy.
Isn't there a category for pets or something like that, or animals?
No, there's no pets, no animals, no nothing. One of
you could petition it. I'm sure they can make a subcategory.
I've asked, and I have so many comments on my post, and there's more of us like asking about it. And one of the people that actually commented was such a great comment. It's like, yeah, Substack's scared to make a pet category or an animal category, because everybody's going to move across to that one.
Well, actually, it might open up doors. It might help us. Yeah, get them over there.
Maybe not. But you see, this is just the nice thing about Substack, is like you have this interaction that you wouldn't actually have on Facebook. Facebook, you just a random post. Whereas I feel like with Substack, you generally have connections.
So that leads into the thing that I want to touch before we close. One of the things is I'm building this. So Substack is really a great place of collaboration, and that's what Substack wants you to do. They want you to work together as a community. They want you to. The more you do that, I'll let you in a little secret. The more you collaborate, the more you write stories about each other, the more you kind of do things like that, where you restack each other, you comment on each other, all that kind of stuff helps you attract more people to your Substack. And they can convert into followers, then followers into Substack or into subscribers, right? So the more you can interact, that's more of a community. That's what they want you to see. So one of the things that I've been working on is the book funnel things for books for Substack writers. And they're indie authors. And one of the challenges of indie authors is that they do everything on their own. They're isolated in a box. They don't have a publisher. They have a hard time doing things. And the challenge with that is that they don't have a voice. I mean, their book is posted either on Amazon or Books and Noble and then all these other places, which is great. That's the hardest part of the process. But the toughest part is that you can't market, because now you need thousands of dollars to market to wherever platform you have it. And then you have to get in these bookstores and all that. And it takes a lot for an individual, because you got work, you have other things going on. You may have kids, you might have a wife that's demanding, that wants to go for dinner every night.
An eagle.
Or you have an eagle, or you have Remy who wants to go for a walk, So you got life, right? And so one of the things that I'm trying to do on the community side of it is help everybody. Help all these indie, and if we could do it as a collaboration as a whole, then we all power of our Substacks. We're commenting, we're restacking each other's books, we're doing the writing, the reviews on Amazon to help drive that. So if we can drive Amazon with reviews and clicks and all that, Amazon wakes up and says, wait a minute, there's something going on with this book.
Yeah.
Why is it important? So they're going to start ranking that a little higher. Same thing with Substack. The more you comment, the more you work with each other, all this stuff, it starts resonating. It gets higher and higher and higher. So now you're getting all this exposure out there because you're doing what they want you to do, is interact. And the power of clicking, obviously, the more clicks, the more views, the higher percentage you might convert in sales. That's just the logic with that. So that's what I'm trying to do on the book side of things. On the community side, I'm doing the same thing with individuals like yourself, where I'll write a story, promote them a little bit, get them going, because I think that's important. That's giving back to the community. It's giving back something that it gives you a chance to showcase yourself a little bit, tell a little bit about your story, get to know who you are a little bit. And I think that's important. We need to kind of be a lot more giving rather than taking on Substack. And I don't think, and Substack doesn't work like other social medias where, like, if you go on X, it's all about taking. I want more likes, I want more things, I want more comments. TikTok's that way. I want more likes, I want more whatever. So I'm gonna pay for it. I'm gonna pay for more likes. Like, really. And Facebook is, I don't know, it has its own, and even Instagram has the same kind of concept where it's always driven on likes, right? The more likes and things like that, that's what drives the content. But that doesn't work for Substack. I think it's the opposite. I think it's more of community, and that's what they see genuinely as a good thing. And yeah, so there's that.
I like that, because we need more of that in the world. We're becoming so isolated in our own little bubbles. So it's nice to have a place, like I say, that feels like home.
Right. Yeah, you're not the only one that said that. There's multiple people have said that, which is cool.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is there's, you don't have to worry about your differences, because the only difference is that your writing styles might be different than mine. You might write something a little different than mine. And as long as we're collaborating, does it really matter? No, it doesn't matter the differences. It just matters that we're working together and trying to create a better community, trying to create a better life for both of us. And I think that's the most important part about life, is building that world that is safe for us to be in. That I think that's where a lot of people feel. That's cool. So how can people submit to Tales of Tribute? Is there a website, or is it on your Substack? Where can they go?
Okay, so I think I have it correct, because I'm still figuring it out, but I think I have it linked correctly in my Substack production page thing. I have a little tab there. Otherwise, on my my actual website, talesofttribute.com, there is a Share Your Tribute page where you can submit your tribute to. Or if you go onto my Facebook page, which is also Tales of Tribute, you will find posts. It's also pinned to submit your tribute. So it's quite simple to find, and it costs you nothing. It's for free. So just please include photos. I love seeing photos of your pets, and I make a nice little page for them and a collage. So the more pictures you submit, the better.
That's
the
cool.
bigger your collage will be.
You got to do that for Substack somehow.
Yeah, no, I have to. I haven't figured out how to.
Can I explain how you could do that?
How do I do that?
So on Substack, one of the cool thing about it is that you can create sections. You have to go into your general settings, and under your general, like, if you go on my Substack, you see that I have Positive Pen,
a lot on your Substack.
No, I have sections, and if you go in those sections, that's where if you hit that section, all my articles relate to that section. So if you go in, like, it's not a big, huge thing. So you go there, you go in. So, like, for Remy's journey, so I wrote chapter 1, which is the rough draft. These are rough drafts, but it's categorized in rough draft. It's called sections. So you can create a section called Tales of Tribute, which is all about your dogs, about people's entries, and post them in there. And you could do the photo. You can create a little bit of a story on there. You can actually, one of the cool things about that is you can actually put buy me a coffee and actually, or ask for donations or whatever like that. You can put that in there too. So you can get stuff going on your Substack.
Now, the tributes that I have posted that are sitting in my tribute gallery on my actual website, I would have to rewrite them for Substack, or
you can copy and paste it.
But it's not like a double entry. The Google sees it as like a two posts from the same thing sort of thing.
No, I have a website too. So what I would do is I would post it on Substack. I mean, you can leave what you have right now and start moving forward this way, or do it however you want to do it. Write the story there, take the link from that story, and then you can I don't know what kind of platform do you use? What's the platform?
WordPress.
Okay. So you can do it in a couple ways on WordPress. You could do a photo. This is how you can do it. So on Substack, the cool thing is they create assets, right? So like they might, like whatever that story is, they'll regurgitate it and create that photo with that says, Bruno's dog passing, or a tribute to Bruno's dog. And it's already created. You take that image, you go onto your website, you plug it in, and then you hyperlink it back to that story.
Okay. So you're publishing it on Substack and then you cross-referencing on the website, for example.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
So then that way what happens is all your traffic is going onto your Substack and vice versa. You can do it both ways. The other thing you could do is your about page could be on your Substack, but it links on back and forth. You can create like a donation page, just buy me a coffee or something like that, which is something a lot of people do, just to help support your cause. And I would support you that way, because what you're doing is a very serviceable thing that most people don't think of doing. And that's pretty cool. Your website can still be where all your entries go.
Sorry.
I'm sorry for making this thing, but I'm thinking about, you can, and if you want me to teach you how to do that, we can spend some time afterwards or later, another time, and we can talk about that. Yeah, I can show you after we're done with the podcast. So,
because everybody's like, "Oh, you two are talking about things that we already know about."
Yeah. No, I don't think a lot of people. Actually, I don't think so. There's a lot of people on here that I have a lot of supporters that don't write; they just read, and they support a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah,
and then there's that. Yeah. Go ahead.
I see people with all these fancy things on their websites and on their Substack websites, and I was like, how on earth do you get this done? Like, I have no idea. I don't even know how to search on YouTube for that, because I don't know what it's called.
If you got 10 minutes, I'll show you. I can put in a PowerPoint and I can show you. How's that?
That'd be fantastic. Wow. That'd be really cool.
Anyways, thank you everyone for coming on. And Jen, yes, this will be replayed later. Bridget, thank you. Carl, thank you very much. Appreciate it. This was a pleasure. I mean, this is something that I don't think we talk about much. How do we tribute our pets when they pass? So if you found this interested, please do. A couple programming notes. Next week, I am off. There will not be a podcast. I'm taking a day off. It's family stuff, and we're doing family things. And but I will post a story, and there will be, in the following week, we will have another podcast. It will be May 4th. So there's that. And I don't have a story for Wednesday, so you might. I know everybody's looking for Remy's story. I haven't posted.
Yes.
I haven't done chapter 3 yet. I think. Is it chapter 3? I think it is chapter 3.
Yes, chapter 3.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have to do that at some point. I don't think I'm ready for this Wednesday for it. So we might have something else. So anyways, in the meantime, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for coming out
Thank
here.
you, John.
Yeah. In the meantime, have a pleasant afternoon if you're still having daylight. And if you're not, have a pleasant evening.